I would like to welcome Tim to the stage for his induction into the National Soccer Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Sharpie, for those beautiful words. Dan, I don't remember or have the same recollection of this place as you do. I got my butt kicked here more than once, and I'm happy to be in front of you making some new memories. Thank you to the Hall of Fame, Soccer Hall of Fame. I'm truly humbled and honored. Amy, Tisha, Francisco, Josh, this is our class, and it's amazing. I'm so proud to stand amongst such greatness. Your contributions to the game of soccer are enormous. They'll be continued to be felt for many, many years to come. Where does this journey begin and end? I'd imagine it ends here. To be immortalized in the Hall of Fame is the greatest honor any athlete can have bestowed upon them. So if it ends here, I want to take the next 10 minutes or so to tell you about some of the people, thank some of the people, and take you on a journey back in time through some of the great times, some of the tough times. The price of admission into my inner circle is very high. All that I ask is that you have an undying belief in my dreams as I chase greatness. Not an easy task, I can assure you. Chris Sharp talked about those 4 months that shaped our relationship. In 2016, in May, I left Everton, my beloved Everton, and I went to Copa America, which might actually even be that picture. And I was scheduled to sign with the Colorado Rapids, and so in that intermediate time, I lost my place on the national team, and I was the number 2. And the first phone call ever I had with Sharpie, mind you, I'm going into a team now, an environment where for the first time in my life, my goalkeeper coach is younger than me. So this young, brash Australian guy calls me, and we have a really good conversation, and I'm scheduled to get the odd game against Chile in Copa America. And he says, "Good luck, fella," in that Australian accent. And he said, "This is the last day you'll ever be number 2 for the United States." And I thought, all right, this guy's on the right track here. I've always appreciated your dedication, Sharpie, to me and to your love of the game, but also love of myself and my family. My girlfriend, Jamie, my wonderful girlfriend, Jamie, who never gets enough recognition or credit. You are an incredibly successful person in your own career. You often stand happily and quietly in my shadow, pushing me and supporting me in the most loving way. You are truly our backbone, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for us. Mr. and Mrs. Blum, I thank you for welcoming me into your loving family. My father, Matthew Howard. Every little boy looks up to their father as Superman. I was no different. As a long-haul truck driver, you spent countless hours, days, and weeks on the road. When you pull that big rig up to Sabella Road and hit those air brakes, the biggest smile came across my face. The keys jangling on your hip, the greasy boots, and the trucker hat before it was popular made me ecstatic, made me run harder. Since then, you attended 3 World Cups and an Olympics, and I am extremely grateful. My NBC family. I'm incredibly lucky to have a second career that sustains me, that challenges me, and that I love. I'd like to thank Sam Flood, our president, Pierre Musa, the best producer in all of sports, Adam Littlefield, Mike Carey, Rebecca Lowe. She is as great and as wonderful and as amazing as everybody knows her to be. She's hands down the greatest football host America has ever seen. Robbie Earl, Robbie Muster, my colleagues, my friends, my mentors, I appreciate the love that you've shown me, and the way that you've allowed me to adapt to my new role. The great Sir Alex Ferguson, I'm still not sure how or why you brought me to Manchester United as a 22-year-old kid, but I am truly thankful to have played for the biggest football club in the world. To illustrate how young and naive I was at the time, I was 22 years old, don't know how or why I'm going to Manchester United, and my last game that I played for the Metro Stars was at Foxborough Stadium against the New England Revolution. So the morning of my last game, I went to Macy's, JCPenney's, and I thought, I'm going to get myself a nice shirt and tie. I got a gray suit at home. I'm sure my mom had bought me, and I thought, this will do really well. There was a problem. The shirt and tie was navy blue and light blue. But I was so naive that I thought, looks great, I'm going to wear it. So I get to Old Trafford, and they give me the shirt, and I am now immortalized as signing for Manchester United in their cross-city rivals' colors. So that I was a naive kid, but I was determined. Everton Football Club and David Moyes. If Manchester United is the biggest football club in the world, then Everton, without doubt, is the greatest. Everton is one of the best things that ever happened to me in my life. I am so very proud to be an Evertonian and what that means and how much of a fabric of the club that I am. David Moyes is the greatest manager I ever played for. I stand before you today to tell you that if he asked me to run through the gates of hell 7 days a week, I'd smash through them every single day because that's how great he was. He instilled in me leadership, accountability, responsibility, taught me to be mature. I grew up into the person that I always hoped I'd be, playing for David Moyes. To my national team coaches, Bruce Arena, Bob Bradley, you're both true pioneers of this sport. Bruce, you were honest with me, you were candid, which I always appreciate. And Bob Bradley trusted me to lead, and he gave me a voice on the world stage, which I will forever be thankful for. The next gentleman is the most important part of this story, my journey. Without Tim Mulqueen, there is no Tim Howard. Simply put, every journey starts with a singular moment, and Mulch, that moment was when you thought you saw something in me. You know, you're the goalkeeping guru, and we didn't have a ton of money. You brought me to your soccer camp, and you just thought, I like this kid, and never mind the fee or the price tag, you'll come for free. The more you pushed me, the more I hated it. The more I hated it, the more I wanted you to push me. Stand up straight, tuck your shirt in, don't rest with your hands on your knees. Communicate, act like a professional. Let me remind you, I was only 12. You taught me life lessons such as more was expected of me because I was from the greatest soccer state in all of America, New Jersey. We had this interesting love of boxing and prize fighting. I don't know if we got it from our fathers or watching it on grainy television back in the 80s. But you told me when a fighter gets down, he has to get back up. He has to beat the referee's 8 count. And most importantly, which is the lesson I took with me for the rest of my life, you told me that every great fighter in between rounds must get off his stool, that the bell will ring, and he must always, always answer the bell. I'm forever grateful for you, for your love, and all the things that you mean to my family. I would like to take a moment now to recognize someone very special that we recently lost way too soon. Tim's beloved wife, Kathleen Mulqueen. In the most befitting way, she fought to the very end, and as only a Mulqueen can. Mulchie, she kept you in line for 26 years of marriage, but more than anything, she loved being a mother to Trevor and Kate. I'm a better person for knowing Kathleen and having her support. I've heard it said, and I know it to be true, that only the good die young. She wasn't just good, she was the best. J.D. Martin, Steve Sr., my best friends, my brothers. The kids today talk about ride or dies and day ones. They knew nothing about us playing baseball and basketball and soccer from the time we were 11 years old. J.D., everybody knows this, but in your eyes, I can do no wrong. That any goal I ever conceded must have been somebody else's fault, to which I concur. How do I ever repay you? During the 2014 World Cup in Brazil, your beautiful wife, Carrie, heavily pregnant with your second child, you got a really, really awesome idea. You were going to hop on a flight, and you went from Boston to Charlotte, Charlotte to Sao Paulo, Sao Paulo to Natal, just to get there for a cup of coffee prior to the game. You went to the game, you saw us whoop up on Ghana, and then you jumped on the same return flight home the next morning. That, to me, is true loyalty. My final game at Goodison Park at Everton, May 2016. How could I possibly say goodbye to the love of my life? Everton was my everything. Well, with you two in tow, somehow the lap of honor after every final home game is for the players. I look behind me, and the two of you are on the Goodison Park pitch, waving to fans and taking pictures, and to say that you've always had my back would be an understatement. Steve Sr., where do I even begin? My best friend, the assistant GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Hours before you're set to take on the reigning NBA champion Denver Nuggets, you're here, not there. That's loyalty. I slept on the floor of your bedroom at 11 Jessica Lane every weekend from the time I was 11 years old to 21. You've been there every single step of the way. I can truly say you inspire me, Steve, every day to be a better person. You're the greatest godfather to Olivia. I cherish your relationship with her, and I'm certain that God broke the mold when he created you. Thank you to your lovely wife, Andrea, and Mr. Senior for being here today. My agent, Dan Siegel. We met in a tiny restaurant, Italian restaurant in New York City, just weeks after 9/11, tragically. Unsurprisingly, I was brash and I was arrogant, and I told you I wanted to go to Europe. Unsurprisingly, you were patient and methodical. You told me we'll get there eventually. Your job as my agent was always to make me as much money as possible, but your role in my life has become priceless. You've seen the highs and the lows. You've navigated me through sticky situations, all of which we cannot talk about at a lunch gala here in Dallas. You're my friend, my mentor, and our relationship far transcends business. My hope now is that you will represent my daughter if she decides to pursue a career in the NWSL. No pressure on either of you. I think the most poignant memory I can think of, Dan, was when Laura and I, my ex-wife, we both hired really high-profile, very expensive divorce attorneys. They couldn't get us to the table to talk. None of that had anything to do with Laura's stubbornness, I can assure you. But it was you. It was you who got us to the table to talk sense, and to see eye to eye. And if that does not speak to your negotiating skills, I have no idea what will. Thank you for your loyalty and everything you mean to me. Laura and Trey Lieberrud. From the bottom of my heart, Laura, you have been the most wonderful mother to our amazing children. Kind of feels like we've been through hell and back, and yet we've made it because of an abundance of love and respect. Through it all, we've kept the children first, always. I feel like now we have such a greater understanding of each other. I mean that. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. To paint a picture of how great Laura and I's understanding is, we watch our daughter play soccer every weekend. And every weekend, the game starts the same. We plop down next to each other and we sit on the bleachers. And my daughter loves a 50-50 challenge. Sometimes the referee blows his whistle and calls a foul. And most of the parents say, "That's not a foul, referee." And Laura jumps up and she says, "Yeah, that's not a foul, referee." And then she sits down and looks at me, and I say, "Yeah, it's a foul." And then, in about the 60th minute of said game, I usually get up and walk down to the safe zone, which is by the corner flag. And as every good striker, great striker does, they cheat the line. They try and get a run on the defender. Sometimes you get caught offside. So what happens is most of the parents stand up and go, "That wasn't offside." And Laura follows on cue, "That wasn't offside." And she looks down the touchline at me, and I just say, like, maybe just a little. And so our understanding of soccer has grown and of each other. I often tell people that our blended family, the Howards, the Lieberruds, the Blums, it's a circus, but it's our circus, and I'm thankful for it. Trey, Thank you for your friendship, your brotherhood. Most importantly, thank you for picking up the slack when I couldn't be there and loving Jacob and Olivia as your own. They are lucky to have you in our lives, and so am I. Amber Oliveira, you're my trusted personal assistant and my manager. 13 years of loyalty and trust. Your work ethic is tireless. Your attention to details like nothing I've ever seen. You've protected me and insulated me from people and incidents. And when I truly knew that you were down for any cause is when you protected me from your own family. I texted your mom one Christmas. I wanted to get you and Ian a Christmas present. And Sally replies, must have not had my number in her phone. And I told her I wanted to get, Merry Christmas, I want to get Amber and Ian a Christmas gift. And she replied, what's your mom's dog's name? So I said, well, that's an odd response. And I said, my mom's dog's name? She said, yeah, what's your mom's dog's name? And I said, Gracie. She goes, oh, hey, Tim, how are you? And so there was a password that Sally had, and Amber put that in place. And so I know your newborn baby, Junie, is back with your mom. I can assure you, Mick and Ian and Amber, she's safe. No one's getting in the room. Certainly not without a password. So, again, loyalty means everything. Thank you. Leadership is so important to me and plays such a role in shaping who I am and who I've become. And so I'd be remiss if I didn't thank and recognize the captains that I played for and played with. U.S. men's national team, Claudia Reyna, Clint Dempsey, Michael Bradley, and my dear friend, Carlos Bocanegra. At Everton, Phil Neville, and Manchester United, the greatest, fiercest captain to ever grace the football pitch, Roy Keane. My dearest Olivia, my wonderful daughter. I've gotten a ton of things right, and I've gotten a ton of things wrong over the years. I've failed over and over again. I've told you that failure is a gift. As I stand before you, wearing this red jacket, I'm certain that I got soccer right. And watching you and Jacob crush life, I'm certain I got you right. You're strong, you're beautiful, you have a heart of gold. I'm so proud of the young woman you're becoming. On the field, you're tough, tenacious, you play with a chip on your shoulder, and you never look for the easy way out or the easy excuse. Eerily, you sound like someone else I know. But you don't want to be like me. You want to forge your own path. I hope by walking through these halls, you see the many women who have made it possible for you to chase your dreams because they achieved theirs. Watching you navigate the college recruiting process was inspiring. When you recently made your verbal commitment to play at the University of Tennessee, it was one of the greatest soccer moments of my life. Because being a Lady Vol is just different. It means more, and it's special. Thank you, Coach Kurt, Coach Morgan, and the University of Tennessee for taking a chance on and believing in my little girl. I'm slightly reluctant to say this with so many Longhorns and Tar Heels in the room, but go Vols. I'm lucky to know and be supported by strong women, Jamie, Bobby, Laura, Amber, Allie, but my mom, Esther Howard, the greatest, strongest woman I've ever known in my life. I learned resilience, hard work, sacrifice, and compassion from you. To whom much is given, much is required, you told me, and I live by those words. I wrote it down in a notebook in July of 2003 on the way over to Manchester, and I live by those words ever since. I was 10 years old when I was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome. I was scared, I was unsure. I told you I didn't feel normal, and you said, you're correct, you're not normal, you're extraordinary. The good times are easy. Anyone and everyone can celebrate those. Anyone and everyone can be around. When I think about my earliest soccer memories, I think about our apartment in North Brunswick, New Jersey. It backed up to a brick wall. And I was this rambunctious little kid, and I had a piece of chalk, and I drew a goal on the brick wall. And I said, Mom, come outside, play soccer with me. And God bless you, you don't have an athletic bone in your body, but you got yourself out there. And for those of you in the room who remember soccer balls way back when, they had glued on patches, and the patches would come off, you'd hold it, and that's how you'd roll it. And put my baseball batting gloves on, and God bless you, you ran and you towed that ball, and I dove around, and that was one of my earliest soccer memories of being a goalkeeper. The second one is in that great Belgium game. Second overtime, we change over, and I saw you. I found you. I didn't know where your seats were. I was so locked into the game and focused, but I saw you and I made eye contact, and I gave you a fist pump just to let you know there was nothing at all to worry about, and that we got this. We most certainly didn't have it, and there was a lot to worry about, as we found out. But it was my way of trying to repay you. But I mentioned, it's easy at the top. But you sat with me at rock bottom, you held my hand, you walked alongside me, you carried me at times. The greatest thing you've ever done for me is let me know the world's not going to feel sorry for you, so get up and move on. And every now and again, with a loving kiss on the cheek and a swift kick up the backside, you got me back out in the world, and I am so incredibly appreciative and forever grateful, and will never be able to repay what you've given to me. So thank you. In closing, I often think about what it is I most want people to know about me. I hear people talk about me all the time, and they say, God-given ability. I don't know what that is. That's ambiguous, it's vague, and it's subjective. What's not ambiguous and vague and subjective was my desire to be the greatest goalkeeper this country has ever seen. The truth is, any great athlete will tell you, when you stand in that tunnel shoulder to shoulder with your brothers, look your opponent in the eye, you're scared to death. You want the ground to swallow you whole. You're afraid of failure. You're vulnerable, and self-doubt consumes you. So here's what I want you to know about me. The bell rang 121 times for me, and 121 times I answered the bell for the greatest country in the world, and for that, I'm most grateful. Thank you.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. And for even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock. And be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you there.